Demand usually varies with its price, but the extent of variation is not uniform in all cases. In some cases, variation is extremely wide. In some other cases, it may just be nominal. That means sometimes demand is greatly responsive to change in price. At other times, it may not be so responsive. In today's session, we are going to discuss about what are different kinds of price elasticity. According to law of demand, the demand for goods and services changes when there is change in its price. But the relationship between demand and price may not be equal and same in all the cases. It may vary from product to product or time to time or market to conditions. So there are mainly 5 kinds of or 5 degrees of price elasticity. First one, let us discuss about perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand means when the percentage of change in quantity demanded is infinite, even if the percentage of change in price is 0. Now we can say demand is perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic demand states that even if the percentage of change in price is 0, demand is infinite. Actually, this is an extreme case of elasticity, which is very rarely to be found in practice, but is of great theoretical importance. See this graph. Here, demand curve is a straight line parallel to x-axis. At price OP, a person would buy as much of the given commodity as can be obtained. That is infinite quantity. Okay, at price OP, a person would buy infinite quantity. This is perfectly elastic demand. Even if the percentage of change in price is 0, demand is infinite. It is a case of theoretical extremity and hardly encountered in practice. Next one, perfectly inelastic demand. A perfectly inelastic demand is one when there is no change produced in the demand of a product with change in its price. Whether the price falls or rises, there is no change in demand. Numerical value for perfectly inelastic demand is 0. Price elasticity equals 0. See this graph. In case of perfectly inelastic demand, demand curve is represented as a straight vertical line parallel to y-axis. At price P1, quantity demanded is QS. At price P2, quantity demanded is QS. At price P3, quantity demanded is QS. Whether the price falls or rises, there is no change in demand. Whatever be the price, demand remains constant. That is perfectly inelastic demand. Next one, elastic demand. It is also known as relatively elastic demand or more elastic demand. Relatively elastic demand refers to the demand when the proportionate change produced in demand is greater than proportionate change in price of a product. A small change in price causes a more than proportionate change in quantity demanded. In this graph, you can see that at price P1, quantity demanded is Q1. But when price falls from P1 to P2, demand increases from Q1 to Q2. We can see a larger increase in quantity demanded. That means a small change in price leads to more than proportionate change in quantity demanded. Numerical value of relatively elastic demand ranges between 1 to infinity. Mathematically, the measurement is elasticity is greater than 1. Next one, relatively inelastic demand or inelastic demand. Relatively inelastic demand is one when the percentage change produced in demand is less than percentage change in price of a product. In this diagram, you can see that at price P1, quantity demanded is Q1. When price falls to P2, quantity demanded increases. But from Q1 to Q2, you can see only a lesser increase. A change in price causes less than proportionate change in quantity demanded. Okay? When the percentage change produced in demand is less than percentage change in price of a product. Change in price causes less than proportionate change in quantity demanded. So, numerical value of relatively inelastic demand is less than 1. Next one, the last one is unitary elastic demand. When the proportionate change in demand produces the same change in the price of the product, the demand is referred to as unitary elastic demand. When price is P1, quantity demanded is Q1. When price falls from P1 to P2, quantity demanded increases to Q2. That means a change in price brings about equal and proportionate change in demand. Change in price brings about equal and proportionate change in demand. A numerical value for unitary elastic demand is equal to 1. Okay, hope you understood what are the 5 kinds of elasticity of demand. That is 5 kinds of price elasticity.